What is up, Duelist? I'm here with another deck review video. I wanted to make sure I got this one out before Stage 2 of the World Championship, and this is Hi-Speedroid. This is a deck that came out pretty recently. It is definitely taking over to an extent, and it's very, very powerful. Now, this is Yugo's deck, and as is the case with most other anime decks, it is accompanied by an overpowered skill. It would be powerful without the skill for sure, but the skill really drives it home and is kind of the cherry on top. So, really the goal of this deck is to get out one of your level 8 dragons. I say one of your level 8 dragons because it usually depends on whether you're going first or second, which one you're going to want to bring out for a different purpose, but that in itself is a strength, right? Like, you can have two different plays depending on when you go, and both are very strong. Now, let me kind of jump into each of those plays. So first we have our Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, which I have showing up on here on screen. And as always, the whole deck list will be down below. This card is really, really powerful. During either player's turn, when a monster effect is activated, you can negate the activation and destroy it. This card gains attack equal to the destroyed monster, so not only can you stop monster effects, you can gain the life points, and then if this card is basically in battle, it gains the attack equal to the current attack of the opposing monster battling it. So it basically can't be destroyed by battle, and it basically is going to destroy any card effect you choose, or any monster effect that you choose. Now, sometimes with these type of effects, you wait and pick the right effect to destroy. It could be one that is going to be lethal because sometimes your opponent knows your card and is going to try to do another effect to bait you into destroying it. So you got to play a little bit patient, but there's no reason that you can't do it properly. Now, as you can see, is basically immune to battle. It's immune to monster effects, and then we have 2, and you can play 3 Forbidden Lances in the deck. So this will also make it immune to spell and trap cards for the rest of the turn. And if that's the case, like, the card is not unbeatable, but very close to, like, you can kaiju it, I guess, and things like that. You can get off a second effect, but like when you're talking about 2 effects that are worth destroying a card over, it's going to be pretty rare that you can pull it off in one turn. This card can completely shut people down, and that'll be the play that you want to go into when you're going first. But when you're second, and this is really like the highlight of the deck, I think, there's a one-turn kill that's become very popular, and it is accompanied, again, by that powerful skill. If you can use, for example, level 4 and level 3 monster to Synchro summon into Clearwing Synchro Dragon, you can activate the Clearwing Acceleration skill. You can bring out your level 1 Speedroid Red-Eyed dice there, then go into Hi-Speedroid Kitedrake. This is again going second. You can activate the effect to destroy all other cards in the field. Really powerful. It works nicely against something like an Odd Eyes deck where you're just clearing everything, including the pendulum zones, and like even if they were to survive the turn, like they're starting from scratch. Those decks can be a little bit fragile, and that is a great way to attack it. But then after that, you can activate the skill. It lets you send this card to the graveyard to bring back another, or the clear wing Synchro Dragon that you had on the field previously, but it gains attack points, and it will gain over enough to be over 4,000. So the board is wiped, and you can attack and finish in one turn. Pretty common there because this thing is relentless there. So you have a clear play when you're going first and you're going second. Now for the rest of the deck, and I'll jump into kind of strengths here. So as I mentioned, you have a really clear play for going first and going second. It is very fast. Like, these are short duels, especially thinking about like the tournament style. It'll go well there. You're not going to be playing all these like 15-turn duels. Most likely, you're going to be ending them pretty quickly. Whether that is win or lose, but probably win because it's a very powerful deck. I don't guarantee that. I don't guarantee that with any of the deck reviews. It's the cards you have, and it's the way you play them, and other people are playing the same deck, so it's like, I can't give you one deck to win if other people are playing the same deck. Like, they're going to have a similar odds to win the duel. But there are a lot of options with how you get to where you want to go, meaning, like, I'll just walk through quickly. Wynn, you can discard another Wynn monster and draw the one you want, so this can be helpful of getting something to the graveyard if you want to activate an effect. You have Terrortop, where you can special summon, and you can use it to search out another monster. You have the Piper here, which can change levels of monsters in the field when it's in the graveyard. You can use this to bring out a tuner monster and special summon. You can special summon a monster from the graveyard. You can special summon a monster from your hand or your graveyard, tuner specifically. You can use it to change the level. So like a lot of ways to get to level 7, even if in one turn like you have someone Book of Moon's one of your cards, you can often play into getting a second combination to synchro summon what you're looking for. So powerful, very, very powerful. And it's good against the top deck. So I already mentioned against Odd Eyes there, where you can basically wipe the board with like a pretty simple way. As long as you get to level 7, you can activate the skill there to get the die out there, the dice die, however we want to phrase it, and get into level 8 and do that play. Sometimes you do need the die to get to level 7, but the Clear Wing Dragon itself does have pretty good effects, and if you have to leave it out, not the ideal play your first turn. You could also consider going into the Framelord, but like not the end of the world necessarily. Like you're not guaranteed to lose, especially with the good level of protection you have with the other cards. But yeah, so very good against Odd Eyes. But then when you think of Orcus too, like if you can get the clear Crystal Wing out, it can stop monster effects. So like the reason Ding is so powerful is because of its effect. And if you can zap that once per turn, and Ding can only use the effect once per turn, then you're in good shape there. Those other monsters generally don't have like crushing effects. They're generally not destroying monsters in the field. Maybe if you have Nightmare Unicorn or something, but otherwise, like it's in a good spot there. Now, protection can be seen as a plus, like I mentioned, if you have this card out. You have like a Book of Moon in your back row, you have a Forbidden Lands, Chalice to stop other cards. So if you have, again, you can zap one monster effect, but you can use Chalice to shut down other ones as well. So all of those as strengths, pretty easy to tell, how powerful this deck can be. Weaknesses I'll jump into because every deck has them. It can be a little bit less consistent than some of the top decks right now. Like Orcus is incredibly consistent, and Odd Eyes is even more consistent than Orcus, I would say, because of the skill and how broken it is. And as long as you can draw cards to fill up, your pendulum zones, then you can just have crazy monsters every single time. I don't like it, honestly. I think it's too consistent. I think you don't have to do any kind of trade-off for power versus like consistency, anything like that. This is not on that level. I will say you're going to get some first hands that are not going to be able to get you to a level 7. It's not so common that it's like, oh, don't use this deck or anything like that, but it's just if you're used to playing like Odd Eyes, it's not going to be quite on that level. Doesn't mean you lose automatically. Like if you do get a hand that's not going to get you to level 7, it's probably because you have kind of some spell cards here that are going to give you some level of protection. Is it guaranteed to survive? No, it depends on what your opponent plays and something like that, but you do lose the momentum in those situations, and it's not the best thing to happen. And then the other thing is, it can be interrupted in ways that, other decks maybe can't. So if you think of Odd Eyes, like, unless your opponent just Cosmic Cyclones one of your Pendulum Zones before you Pendulum Summon and you can't fill it properly, this card, you can get Book of Moon, you can and do other things like other cards Warning Point that are going to interrupt the chain and stop an effect from going off. So you can get stuck before you get to your synchro monsters that are going to really be the power of the deck. So, any deck to some extent can be interrupted, but I always kind of point that out with decks specifically that are playing chains, as this one is here. So those are the two things to watch out for, but again, you can kind of counter some of the interrupting your chains with Forbidden Lands, so, a little bit prepared for those type of things, and again, you can play 3 here, I have 2. So full deck list down below. Have you played this deck recently? Have you played against it? Have you played with it? Anything like that? Love to hear your thoughts, and hope this has been helpful.